think you know that I'm in favor of immigration reform. We've been talking about this all along. Let me explain to you what I mean when I say that, because I think it's important, because there's so much misunderstanding about what is immigration reform, what is it we're proposing, what are we trying to do, and then the question is, when is this going to get done? And I actually do not know the answer of that specifically. Now, we had plans on bringing it up last summer, then last fall, and for various reasons it didn't get brought up. One of the reasons last fall is because we got stuck with this government shutdown, which basically took our fall agenda away. Then we tried putting it back on track, and now we're trying to assemble the votes. We're meeting with our colleagues and trying to get where the consensus is so that we have the votes to actually act on it. Okay, what is it? What do I mean when I say this? Number one, the first principle, we just released these principles in January about what would guide legislation. Number one is secure the border. I'm not going to get into debate with you. I want to get through this. So, number one, there are a lot of people who don't know this issue as well as you do, who want to know what the heck I'm talking about.
But you voted for the House to shut down last year.
No, I did not. Let's not get into debate about this. Okay, so, number one, secure the border. And what does that mean? There is actually a way of defining what securing the border is. There's a way of actually developing a metrics-based system where we can independently verify that the border is actually secure, that we have the resources and the laws we need to verify that it is actually secure. Number two, the second point in the second reform is to enforce our laws, including our interior enforcement. Two issues beg for reform there. You need an employment verification system. One of the problems is we have an old paper-based system, and so identity theft and immigration are a huge problem. So you have to have an employer verification system when a person applies for the job, they can legitimately verify that they are who they say they are, and that the employer knows that they are who they say they are, and that they're legally eligible to vote to work in this country. Number two in this is a visa tracking system. 40% of undocumented immigrants in America are people who enter legally on a visa and then overstay their visa, and we don't have a way of tracking whether they're here or not or where they are. So we have to come up with a modern system, which technology these days is not that hard to do, of having a visa tracking system. These are the things that we've said have to be done in order of sequence, first and second. Number three is we got to reform legal immigration, because legal immigration is broken. It's one of the reasons why we have this problem in the first place. So we have a system where there are jobs that are not being filled, that can't be filled. Talk to the dairy industry here in Wisconsin, the nursery industry here in Wisconsin, agriculture out in California, all over the place. We have to have a legal system that allows jobs to be filled that can't be filled by people who are already here. We have people of various skills that are needed to come to the country. You have to have a legal immigration system that works. We think one of the critical ways of securing the border is to have a guest worker program where a person can come and work with a tamper-proof ID, work a job, and go back and forth from their country of origin so that they can come through the front door, through legally into the country. That takes tremendous pressure off of the border itself, and so that the economy can get the labor it needs to keep growing. And number five, this is the issue that gets everybody in a big debate, is to get undocumented immigrants right with the law. And the proposal that we've laid out through our principles, and this is where we're having a debate and trying to decide whether we have the votes in Congress to do this or not, that's what's the big delay right now, is that the proposal is essentially a system where you allow an undocumented immigrant to come out and admit guilt and fault that they were here illegally, meaning you either overstayed your visa or you crossed the border without papers, and you enter into a legal probationary status. That's a very common thing in law enforcement. If you are someone who acknowledges that you didn't follow the law, you get put on probation, and then you have to serve the terms of probation. In this case, English, civics, pay a fine, pay back taxes, make sure you don't have a criminal background, and not be on public assistance. So it's a probationary visa that a person gets. It's a work visa, so you can stay and work, fulfill the terms of your probation. The federal government has to do its job on securing the border and on doing interior enforcement. And when those are verifiably done, and a person has fulfilled their terms of probation and 5 years have occurred, then a person can get a regular work permit. Not a special pathway, which is the big debate we're having right now, but a regular work permit to stay and work. And if a person then wants to go get a green card, they can get a green card like just anybody else in society and get in that line, but at the back of the line. And the reason we want to do it that way is because for the person who did everything right from the beginning, for that legal immigrant who's patiently waiting in these long lines and paying their fees, we want to make sure that they get adjudicated first because they were here doing it right in the first place. We think this is an effective way of a step-by-step process to fix these laws, fix the broken immigration system. Immigration is very important for America. It's necessary for our economy. I just talked about all these baby boomers retiring. Well, the problem is after they retire, we have fewer people in the workforce. So we're going to have, we don't have it right now, but in the future we're going to have labor shortages, and we need to address that. And so the ability to bring people into our country through a legal system that works well for our economy is something we have to start putting in place now, not to mention the need to have respect for the rule of law and a system in place that makes it easier for us to enforce the law. We don't want to have this broken immigration system problem 10 years down the road. We tried to fix it in '86, that didn't work. Then Congress passed a big overhaul in 1996, that didn't work. And we've been debating this since 2006. This is an issue that's been dated for a long, long time. The president had his entire first term to propose doing these things, and that never happened. So we're actually having a good, mature debate about how to fix these immigration laws. This is what we suggested. And now what we're doing is we're meeting with our colleagues to find out if we can get a majority of votes to pass these series of bills, and that's what we're in the middle of. And I don't know the timetable.
Can I just ask one thing?
Sure.
I thought this was a vote and not necessarily a debate. Why don't we put it to the House for the vote to see what will happen?
We wouldn't pass it.
How does someone
Because
know?
we check our votes. We don't have the votes.
We've seen other things where the votes are there, sir.
Well,
And why,
I'm just giving you the answer to the
but
question.
I'm just wondering why the vote won't go. I mean, why is someone
usually
using a vote from a democracy?
Yes, democracy, but when you spend, we've been trying to do this since 2006, right? So when you bring a bill up that's so important, these are a number of bills, you want to make sure that you've reached consensus so that you can pass them. My budget agreement is an example. Patty Murray and I put together a budget agreement, and we walked our colleagues through it, and we wanted to verify that we could pass this before we passed it, because if we brought it up and it failed, it would set us back farther. We don't want to bring bills up and see them fail, because then Congress won't address these issues for a long, long time. You bring it up when you know you have the ability to pass it to advance the cause, to advance these reforms, and that's why we are where we are.